Thanks for staying with us. This is still Fafanwa Africa. Now, over the years, young people have called for more investment and more support for digital infrastructure, for skills training, and of course, inclusive policies to unlock youth potential. Unfortunately, though, many young people on the continent are being left behind due to a lack of resources and opportunities. And this needs to change. Now, the digital divide in Africa is a pressing issue that is hindering the potential of over 400 million young Africans. Without access to technology and the necessary skills, these youths are at a disadvantage in a world where digital literacy is becoming increasingly important. Now, it is imperative for policymakers and development partners to recognize the importance of investing in infrastructure, investing in digital skills training, investing in youth-friendly policies, and that is what we want to talk about today. Joining me on Fafanwa Africa to discuss this is Grace Natabaalo, Research and Insights Manager, Caribou Digital from Kampala, Uganda. Thank you so much, Grace, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Now, Grace, very quickly, we're going to dive into it. How exactly do you see the role of digital technology evolving in the lives of the young people in this 21st century?
Thank you. So I'll start by mentioning what it's already doing, how especially young people are already tapping into digital technologies, especially to create livelihoods, and how we see that evolving. So I'll just to share, so what young people are doing currently, if I can start there, is they're using digital platforms to find and create their own livelihoods. For example, people have become freelancers on freelancing platforms like Upwork. They've looked to apps like Uber and Bolt to find work. They are also getting into the property business of renting out spaces, renting out properties via Airbnb. And we see a lot of young people moving towards this sort of work through digital platforms because, of course, economic conditions are tough everywhere in Africa. There is never enough employment. So the role of technology is changing. We've gone from just being on social media, chatting with friends, to actually using social media. When I say we, I'm talking about young people, but not me, but they are using social media beyond the users that it was created for. They've set up small businesses online and are selling goods and services and making money. So we see how young people are evolving their use of technology from just it being a leisurely activity to actually making money out of it. And we see that trend continuing as technology evolves.
Right. Now, I'm curious about the potential benefits and the potential drawbacks of increased access to the digital technology for youth. Now, that's one of the things that youth have clamored for the longest time. But what would you say are the benefits and then the drawbacks of that?
I think the benefits for sure a lot, and they kind of outweigh the drawbacks, but I don't want to underplay the drawbacks. But we see that technology is providing so many opportunities. I'll also talk about how, as part of our research, we found out how young people are consistently online skilling. They're learning new skills that they never learned at school. Some of them are, still at school, but then they use the chance of online platforms like Coursera or YouTube to learn more and understand the concepts they learned at school even better. So it's such a big part of young people's lives now to be able to go online, learn something new, learn a new skill, and even pivot from, I'll give an example of one of the young people we spoke to in Ghana. She went to school, studied economics, but couldn't find a job. She went online, taught herself how to do web development and software development, and months later she was employed at a company because there are more ICT jobs than your typical traditional jobs. So I think we see a lot of potential through technology for young people, and young people also see that, of course. But again, from our research, we find that young people are, of course, falling into the troubles of fraud. There's lots of fraud online. For young women, there's a lot of online harassment, body shaming, and sexual harassment and a lot of other harms. But I think, it's technology is good and it's also bad. But I think if we focus more on how we can support young people to keep harnessing the good side of technology, but also help them to make sure that they know when there's danger, they know how to deal with a fraud, they know what misinformation is. That way they continue using technology in ways that benefits them.
Okay. Also, how do you think that digital technology will continue to shape the future job markets for young people? A lot of young people already believe that the job market has now migrated to social media, for example. What is your thought on that?
I think those jobs are always going to be there, but the problem is that they are not the best jobs out there. Very few share about how much they earn, but those who share about the realities of working online will tell you that today you have a job, tomorrow you don't have a job. And those jobs, they come and go. They don't bring you any of the social protections like the health insurance that everyone needs. You never have a pension. So while the jobs are shifting online, young people know that for most, actually, it's more of a being in transit. So you find a job online and then you hope while you build your skills, you will eventually find a formal job outside of that, the online working space, for example. But I think it still has a lot of potential, but we need to find ways of making sure that the work that young people are finding online, yes, it might be good, but how do we support them to turn it into a more sustainable livelihood? For example, if someone has as a business on social media, can we grow that business and maybe grow it on social media, but also be able to grow it offline, so it becomes a source of income, not leaving young people to keep struggling every day. As people always say, we can't entrepreneur our way out of poverty in Africa. So I think while there are opportunities online, we still need to help young people to make sure that those livelihoods are turned into more sustainable ventures.
Right. Now, this report that we've talked about earlier mentioned several possible initiatives that includes youth-friendly policies to bridge the digital divide. My question is, how feasible are these initiatives?
Well, I can't speak of particular initiatives, but what I would like to maybe emphasize is, so we started doing at Caribou Digital with the support of the Mastercard Foundation, have been looking into how young people are online and how they are finding and doing work. And there's a lot more research that is coming out by different other research partners. And what we need right now is for government to recognize that this is what young people are doing. And whatever interventions that they develop, they need to allocate time and attention to the experiences and understand the experiences of young people who are doing work online. So if there's an entrepreneurship policy, is it only looking at young people who are in offices, young people who are at school, or is it also targeting young people who, are doing work online? If there's an upskilling opportunities, how do you ensure that those opportunities are also targeting the young people who are already online and doing, finding work and doing work and that sort of thing. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Now, one final question. How can digital technology be used to empower young people, especially to address social and environmental issues?
I think for starters, it's a tough one.
I know.
But I think young people know that there's, that they need to take part in contribution to sustainability. So I think having a voice for starters online, we know that young people like to be heard and they also want to share their ideas around how we can make the environment more sustainable, what government should be doing to contribute to sustainability. And, that's my short version of it. I'm sorry we haven't done much research around that, but I think, yeah.
That's completely fine. Thank you so much, Grace Natabaalo, Research and Insights Manager, Caribou Digital, all the way from Kampala, Uganda. That's a perfect place to draw the curtains. But thank you so much for giving us an insight into this report. And the report was very much needed so that we can see the statistics of how the digital divide basically between the older generation and the newer one, and how much involvement the newer generation needs on the digital space. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.